Admiral Cain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the long-range scanners with growing amusement. After 40 years of military service, he thought he had seen everything. But this was new. 12 alien ships were heading straight for Earth's solar system, broadcasting what could only be described as a conquest message. "Sir, you need to hear this," said Lieutenant Bobby Chen from the communication station. His voice carried a mix of confusion and barely contained laughter. Cain walked over and put on the headset. The alien voice was speaking broken galactic common, the language most species used for trade and diplomacy. "Primitive humans of the third planet, your systems now belong to the mighty Zephyrian Empire. Surrender your weapons and prepare for integration into our glorious civilization. Resistance will result in total destruction." Cain removed the headset and looked around the bridge. His crew was trying very hard not to laugh. Captain Lisa Morgan, his second-in-command, was covering her mouth with her hand. "They actually came here," Cain said slowly, "after everyone told them not to. For the past 50 years, every alien species that contacted Earth had given the same advice. Stay hidden. Keep quiet. Don't let the Zephyrians know where you are." The galaxy was full of stories about the Empire's conquests. They had taken over 400 star systems and enslaved dozens of species. Their military was huge and their technology was advanced. What the aliens didn't know was that humans had been listening to their communications for decades. Earth scientists had learned about the Zephyrian Empire long ago. They knew about their weapons, their tactics, and their weaknesses. Most importantly, they knew why other species were so afraid. The Zephyrians were bullies. They picked on smaller, weaker civilizations. They had never fought anyone who could fight back. "Lisa, contact Dr. Sam Peterson on Ceres Station," Cain ordered. "Tell him our guests have arrived." Dr. Peterson was Earth's leading expert on alien psychology. He had been studying Zephyrian behavior patterns for 20 years, waiting for this day. The doctor had predicted that the Empire would eventually come to Earth no matter how many warnings they received. On the main screen, Cain watched the alien ships move deeper into the solar system. They were impressive vessels, each one the size of a small city. Their hulls gleamed with advanced armor plating, and energy readings showed powerful weapon systems. To most species in the galaxy, these ships represented unstoppable force. Cain smiled. The aliens had no idea what they were flying into. "Sir, incoming message from Ceres Station," Lieutenant Chen reported. Dr. Peterson's face appeared on the screen. The elderly scientist was grinning like a child on Christmas morning. "Cain, my boy, this is the day we've been preparing for. Are guests behaving as expected?" "Standard Zephyrian conquest protocol," Cain replied. "Demand surrender, threaten destruction, assume victory. They're scanning the asteroid belt now." "Perfect, let them look. I want them to see everything." The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had been humanity's greatest construction project. For 30 years, engineers had been converting asteroids into weapons platforms. Each rock contained enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. The belt looked natural from a distance, but close scans would reveal the truth. Cain watched the alien ships slow down as their sensors detected the massive energy signatures hidden in the asteroids. The lead ship stopped completely. "They're getting nervous," Lisa observed. "They should be," Cain replied. "Computer, show me the system status." The main screen changed to display a tactical map of the solar system. Green dots marked human positions. Throughout the system, there were thousands of them. Every planet, every moon, every major asteroid had been turned into a fortress. The entire solar system was one giant weapon. Cain opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. "Unknown vessels. This is Admiral Cain Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. You have entered restricted space without permission. State your business." The reply came quickly. "Human Admiral, I am Supreme Commander Vexitarian of the Zephyrian Empire. Your species will submit to Imperial rule or face destruction. This is your only warning." Cain looked at his crew. They were all experienced veterans who had trained for this moment their entire careers. Lisa nodded. Dr. Peterson smiled on the screen. Lieutenant Chen gave a thumbs up. Commander Vextarian, I appreciate the warning. Let me give you one in return. You have exactly 60 seconds to begin your withdrawal from this system. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why every other species in this galaxy told you to stay away from us. The alien commander laughed. Foolish human, you face the might of the Empire. We have conquered 43 species. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. Primitive weapons, Kane repeated. Lisa, please show our guests what primitive looks like. Captain Morgan walked to the weapons control station. She entered a simple command and pressed a single button. On the main screen, one of the alien ships simply vanished. It didn't explode or break apart. One moment it was there, the next moment it was gone. The shot had come from Luna, Earth's moon. But no visible weapon had fired. The moon itself had somehow erased the ship from existence. The remaining 11 alien ships immediately tried to flee. Their engines powered up and they turned away from Earth. But something was wrong. Kane could see their confusion on the scanner readings. Sir, they're having trouble with their hyperspace drives, reported Lieutenant Danny Wilson from the sensor station. Something is blocking their jump systems. Kane nodded. The humans had spent decades studying alien technology. They knew how every system worked, including how to stop them from working. Commander Vextarian leaving so soon? Kane said into the communication channel. We insist you stay for dinner. We've prepared something special. All around the solar system, massive structures began to unfold. What had looked like normal, planets and moons started to change. Weapon ports opened on Mars. Jupiter's largest moon split apart to reveal a construction facility the size of a continent. Saturn's rings rearranged themselves into a perfect circle of destruction. The alien ships were trapped in the middle of the most heavily defended star system in the galaxy. They had come expecting to find a few mining colonies and maybe some basic defenses. Instead, they had found something that defied everything they knew about warfare. Kane opened the channel one more time. Commander, welcome to Earth. We've been waiting for you. Supreme Commander Vextarian stared at his tactical display in complete confusion. One of his ships had just disappeared. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply gone. His sensors couldn't even find debris. It was as if the ship had never existed. Report, he barked at his crew. Sir, the humans fired some kind of weapon from their moon, said his tactical officer, Sub-Commander Zekhai. But our sensors show no weapon signatures. No energy buildup, no projectile launch, nothing. Vextarian had conquered dozens of worlds. He knew every type of weapon in the galaxy. Plasma cannons, particle beams, antimatter torpedoes, gravity bombs. This was something completely different. Scan the moon again, he ordered. The results made no sense. Luna appeared to be a normal planetary satellite from the outside, but deep scans revealed something impossible. The entire moon was hollow. The inside had been carved out and filled with machinery that their computers couldn't identify. Sir, incoming transmission from the human admiral, his communications officer reported. Kane Rodriguez appeared on the main screen. The human looked calm and confident, like someone who held all the advantages. Commander, I see you're having some technical difficulties. Would you like us to explain what just happened? What did you do to my ship? Vextarian demanded. We removed it, Kane replied simply. Your vessel was disassembled at the molecular level and its component atoms were dispersed harmlessly into space. The crew was transported to a holding facility on Mars. They're perfectly safe and will be returned to you when this conversation is over. Vextarian felt his blood turn cold. The humans were talking about technology that was centuries beyond anything the Empire possessed. Impossible. No species has that level of precision control. Commander, you're thinking about this the wrong way, Kane said with a slight smile. You see weapons and defenses. We see tools. That wasn't a weapon that destroyed your ship. It was a construction device operating in reverse. On his bridge, Vextarian watched his remaining ships try desperately to escape the system. Their hyperspace drives were completely non-functional. Something was interfering with the basic physics that made faster-than-light travel possible. Let me guess, Kane continued. Your jump drives aren't working. Your navigation computers are showing impossible readings. Some of your instruments are displaying data that contradicts what your eyes can see. That was exactly what was happening. Vextarian's science officer had reported that their sensors were detecting gravitational fields that shouldn't exist and energy patterns that violated several laws of physics. How are you doing this? Vexitarian asked. Kane's expression became more serious. Commander, 40 years ago, humanity made a discovery. We learned that the laws of physics aren't really laws, they're more like suggestions. With enough knowledge and the right technology, you can convince reality to work differently. Dr. Amy Chen's voice came over the communication channel. She was speaking from somewhere inside Luna. Commander Vextarian, this is Dr. Chen, Director of Human Weapons Research. I want you to understand something important. The shot that removed your ship used approximately 0.001% of Luna's total firepower. We could have removed your entire fleet just as easily. Vexitarian looked at his tactical display again. The moon was still there, looking perfectly normal, but now he knew it was really a weapon that could erase ships from existence. What do you want? He asked. We want you to leave, Kane replied. We want you to go back to your empire and tell them that human space is off limits. We want you to spread the word that Earth is protected by forces beyond your understanding. And if we refuse? Kane's smile returned. Commander Jake Sullivan, please join us. A new human appeared on the screen. He was younger than Kane, with the bearing of someone who had spent his life preparing for war. Commander Vexitarian, I'm Jake Sullivan, Human Defense Coordinator. I've been studying your empire for 20 years. I know about every world you've conquered, every species you've enslaved, every war crime your people have committed. Sullivan's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. We know about the Altarian children you use as laborers. We know about the Centauri mining colonies where your people work prisoners to death. We know about the biological weapons you used on Kepler 442b. Vextarian felt his confidence crumbling. How could these humans know so much about classified Imperial operations? We've been watching you, Sullivan continued. For decades we've been monitoring your communications, tracking your fleets, and studying your tactics. We know everything about your empire, Commander. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Around the solar system, more structures were revealing themselves. What had looked like normal asteroids were unfolding into massive space stations. Artificial satellites were transforming into weapon platforms. Even the planets themselves seemed to be changing, as hidden installations emerged from beneath their surfaces. This is impossible, Zekhai whispered. No species could build all of this without being detected. Kane heard the comment and nodded. Your officer is right. It would be impossible for most species, but humans have certain advantages. We're very good at hiding things. We're very good at long-term planning. And we're very good at turning everyday objects into weapons. To demonstrate this point, a small asteroid near the alien fleet suddenly opened up. Inside was a facility the size of a city, filled with ships that looked nothing like any human design. They were sleek and organic, clearly built using technology far beyond anything the Zephyrians possessed. Those ships use our latest propulsion systems, Dr. Chen explained. They can travel at 99.9% of light speed without using hyperspace. They can phase through solid matter. They can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet. Vexitarian counted the ships emerging from the asteroid. There were hundreds of them. And this was just one asteroid in a system that contained thousands. How long have you been preparing for this? He asked. Since the day we learned your empire existed, Kane replied. We've spent 40 years getting ready for your arrival. Every human in this system has trained for this moment. Every piece of technology we've built was designed with your defeat in mind. Jake Sullivan activated another display. Commander, I want to show you something. This is a real-time tactical analysis of your fleet. The screen showed detailed schematics of every Zephyrian ship, their weapon systems, their shield frequencies, their armor composition, even the location of their command bridges. The humans had complete intelligence on Imperial technology. We know exactly how to disable every system on your ships, Sullivan said. "We can shut down your life support, drain your power cores, or simply transport your crews into space. We prefer not to kill unless we have to, but we can end this encounter in any way we choose." Vextarian realized that his massive, powerful warships were nothing more than targets. The humans had turned his entire fleet into a demonstration of their superiority. "What happens now?" he asked. Kane's expression softened slightly. "Now you get to make a choice, Commander. You can try to fight us, in which case your fleet will be politely disassembled and your crews will be returned to Imperial space with a message for your Emperor. Or you can leave peacefully and deliver that message yourself." "What message?" "That Terran space is off limits. That humanity is under the protection of forces your Empire cannot comprehend. That any future attempts to threaten Earth will result in consequences your people are not prepared to face." Around them, the solar system hummed with barely contained power. Vexitarian could feel it through his ship's hull, a vibration that seemed to come from space itself. These humans had done something to reality in their corner of the galaxy. They had made their home into something beyond the reach of normal warfare. "I will deliver your message," Vexitarian said quietly. Kane nodded. "Thank you, Commander. Your ship's hyperspace drives will be restored in 30 minutes. That should give you enough time to collect your people from Mars and say goodbye to our system." As the communication ended, Vexitarian slumped in his command chair. He had come here expecting an easy conquest. Instead, he had discovered that humanity was something the galaxy had never seen before. They weren't just advanced. They were beyond advancement. They had transcended the normal rules of war and physics. For the first time in his military career, Supreme Commander Vexitarian was truly afraid. War Prime Kethaveran found himself commanding the largest military fleet in Zephyrian history. Surrounded by thousands of enemy ships from dozens of species he had thought were safely under Imperial control. Half of his invasion force was already experiencing the same technical failures that had plagued the scout fleet. Ship after ship reported complete system breakdowns as they entered the strange space around Earth. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," his communications officer reported, his voice shaking with barely controlled panic. Dr. Alex Turner appeared on the main screen. The human physicist looked calm and professional, like someone delivering a routine scientific lecture. "War Prime Kethaveran, I'm Dr. Turner, Director of Human Theoretical Physics. I want to explain what's happening to your fleet." "Our systems are failing," Kethaveran said bluntly. "What are you doing to us?" "Nothing directly harmful," Dr. Turner replied. "Your ships are simply encountering a region of space where the fundamental laws of physics operate differently. We've spent the last 30 years modifying the quantum structure of local spacetime. Zephyrian technology was designed to work under normal physical laws. In this area, those laws don't apply." Around the War Prime, his bridge crew stared at their instruments in growing horror. Navigation computers showed impossible readings. Weapon systems reported energy levels that violated conservation laws. Even basic life support was becoming unreliable as the ship's power systems struggled to function in the altered space. "You're changing reality itself," Kethaveran said, the full implications finally hitting him. "In a very localized way, yes. This modified region extends roughly 50 astronomical units from Earth in all directions. Inside this bubble, human technology works perfectly, and alien technology becomes increasingly unreliable. It's a simple defensive measure." Captain Steve Johnson's voice joined the conversation. "War Prime, this is Captain Johnson, Human Fleet Tactical Command. I want you to understand something important. What you're experiencing right now is our standard defensive protocol. We haven't actually begun to demonstrate our offensive capabilities yet." On his tactical display, Kethaveran watched as more of his ships lost power and began drifting helplessly. They weren't being attacked or destroyed. They were simply being rendered harmless by the space around them. "What do you want?" he asked. Admiral Kane Rodriguez appeared alongside the other humans. "We want you to witness something, War Prime. We want you to see what happens when humanity stops hiding." The main screen changed to show a view of Earth from space. The blue-green planet looked normal and peaceful, orbited by its single moon and the usual collection of artificial satellites. Then something impossible happened. Earth vanished. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply gone. In its place was a perfectly spherical void in space, a ball of absolute nothingness surrounded by Luna and the orbital installations, all still following their normal paths around an invisible center of gravity. "Where is your planet?" Kethvaron whispered. Captain Johnson smiled. "Earth has been temporarily relocated to a parallel dimension for its own protection. The process takes about 30 seconds and uses roughly the same amount of energy as lighting a small city for a day. We can move any object of any size to any location in the universe almost instantaneously. To demonstrate this capability, something extraordinary happened to Kethvaron's flagship. One moment it was floating in space at the edge of the solar system. The next moment it was hanging in the atmosphere above a massive alien city, close enough that the crew could see individual buildings and vehicles on the surface below. "War Prime, you are currently positioned 3 kilometers above Zephyr Prime, your Empire's capital world," Admiral Rodriguez announced. "Your ship will remain here for exactly 60 seconds, long enough for every citizen of your planet to see you. Then you will be returned to your original position." Kethvaron looked down at his homeworld through the bridge's main viewport. The Imperial capital stretched out below him, a vast metropolis of gleaming towers and magnificent palaces. He could see the crowds of people in the streets, all pointing up at his ship. Emergency sirens were wailing across the city. "This is impossible," he said. "The distance between here and Earth is over 800 light years. Even our fastest ships take weeks to make that journey." "Distance is relative," Dr. Turner explained. "When you can fold space and manipulate dimensional barriers, the concept of far away becomes meaningless. We can place any object anywhere in the universe with perfect precision." After exactly 60 seconds, Kethvaron's ship was back at the edge of Earth's solar system. The transition was so smooth that his crew didn't even feel it happen. Only the navigation computer's frantic recalculations proved that they had moved at all. "The demonstration you just witnessed could have been performed with a planet killer weapon instead of your flagship," Captain Johnson said quietly. "We could have relocated a fusion bomb, a black hole, or a stellar core directly into your capital city. We chose to move your ship instead because we wanted to make a point without causing unnecessary death." Admiral Rodriguez activated another display. "War Prime, I want to show you something else. This is a real-time view of your empire." The screen showed a 3-dimensional map of Zephyrian space. Every Imperial world was marked with a red dot, every military installation highlighted in yellow. As Kethvaron watched, green dots began appearing throughout the Empire. Hundreds of them, then thousands. "Those green dots represent human forces that are currently in position throughout your territory," Rodriguez explained. "We have ships in orbit around every major Imperial world. We have teams on the surface of every enslaved planet. We have operatives inside every military command center and government building." Kethvaron stared at the display in complete disbelief. "How long have you been infiltrating our space?" 25 years, Rodriguez replied. "We've been preparing for this intervention since the day we learned about Imperial expansion. Every human volunteer who participated in this operation knew they might never see Earth again. They've been living under cover in your empire, gathering intelligence and preparing for liberation." Captain Roy Barnes appeared on the screen. "War Prime, in approximately 10 minutes, every enslaved species in your empire is going to receive the same message simultaneously. They're going to learn that the Terran Federation is offering them immediate liberation and protection from Imperial retaliation." "You're talking about starting a galactic war," Kethvaron said. "No," Kane replied. "We're talking about ending one. The Zephyrian Empire has been at war with the rest of the galaxy for centuries. You've conquered, enslaved, and murdered your way across 43 star systems. We're simply offering your victims a way to fight back." Dr. Turner reappeared on the screen. "War Prime, I want to be very clear about what's going to happen next. In 10 minutes, every major Imperial military installation will simultaneously lose power. Your communication networks will go down. Your hyperspace beacons will stop functioning. Your computer systems will crash. You're going to cripple our entire infrastructure," Kethvaran realized. Temporarily, yes. Long enough for every enslaved world to organize its own liberation. We estimate it will take approximately 72 hours for your empire to lose control of 3/4 of its territory. Admiral Rodriguez looked directly at Kethvaran through the screen. War Prime, you have a choice to make. You can try to fight this process, in which case your fleet will be politely disabled, and you'll spend the next few months in comfortable captivity while the galaxy sorts itself out. Or you can return to Imperial space and help manage an orderly transition to a more civilized form of government. What kind of transition? The kind where conquered species become free again, where slavery is abolished, where the Zephyrian people learn to live as equals with their neighbors instead of their masters. Captain Johnson activated a final display. War Prime, this is the future we're offering. A galactic federation based on cooperation instead of conquest. Free trade instead of forced tribute, diplomatic solutions instead of military occupation. The screen showed a vision of transformed imperial space. Former slave worlds had become independent again. Zephyrian colonies were participating in voluntary trade agreements. Mixed fleets of ships from dozens of species patrolled space together, protecting everyone from threats instead of enforcing imperial will. And if we refuse? Kethvaran asked. Cain Rodriguez smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then you'll discover why 47 different species chose to trust humanity with their freedom. We don't make idle threats, War Prime. We make promises, and we always keep our promises. Around them, space itself seemed to pulse with barely contained power. Kethvaran could feel it through his ship's hull, a vibration that spoke of forces beyond his understanding. These humans had done something to reality in their corner of the galaxy. They had become something that transcended normal civilization. Looking at his tactical display one more time, Kethvaran saw that his entire invasion fleet was now completely helpless. 2,000 of the Empire's most advanced warships had been reduced to floating scrap metal by a species that had been unknown 50 years ago. The War Prime made his decision. Emperor Thaxmiran listened to Supreme Commander Vextarian's report in growing fury. The commander stood at attention in the Imperial throne room, but his usual confidence was gone. He looked like a soldier who had seen something that broke his understanding of warfare. You're telling me that a single human weapon destroyed one of our heavy cruisers, the Emperor said slowly, and that this weapon was built inside their moon. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty, but that's not the worst part. They have turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid has been weaponized. They have technology that can disable our hyperspace drives and manipulate matter at the molecular level. Emperor Thaxmiran had ruled the Zephyrian Empire for 60 years. He had overseen the conquest of 43 species and the expansion of imperial territory across hundreds of star systems. No enemy had ever made him back down. Impossible, he declared. No species develops that quickly. Our intelligence reports said the humans were primitive. They only achieved faster than light travel 50 years ago. The reports were wrong, Your Majesty. Or the humans have been deliberately hiding their true capabilities. They knew everything about our fleet composition, our tactics, even our classified military operations. The Emperor stood and walked to the massive viewing window that looked out over the imperial capital. Millions of beings from dozens of conquered species worked in the city below. The Zephyrian Empire was built on the simple principle that might made right. Superior technology and overwhelming force had never failed them. How many ships did we lose? He asked. None, Your Majesty. That's what makes this so disturbing. They could have destroyed our entire fleet instantly, but they chose not to. They wanted to send a message. And what message is that? Vexitarian hesitated. That we should stay away from their space. That any future attempts to threaten Earth will result in consequences we're not prepared to face. Emperor Thaxmiran turned back to face his commander. Are you afraid of these humans, Vextarian? Yes, Your Majesty. I am. The admission hung in the air like a physical presence. Supreme Commander Vextarian had never shown fear before. He had led the conquest of the Altarian Confederation and the subjugation of the Centauri Republic. If he was afraid, the situation was worse than the Emperor had imagined. "Summon War Prime Kethveron," the Emperor ordered. "If the humans want to threaten the Empire, they will learn what happens to species that defy Imperial will." 3 days. Later, War Prime Kethvaron assembled the largest invasion fleet in Zephyrian history. 2,000 warships gathered at the edge of Imperial space, including the newest dreadnoughts and the most advanced weapons platforms. The fleet carried enough firepower to reduce an entire star system to ash. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Helen Carter convened an emergency meeting of the Terran Defense Council. The council met in a secure facility buried 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. Representatives from every human colony and military installation attended either in person or through secure communication links. "The Zephyrian Empire is mobilizing for a full-scale invasion," General Carter announced. "Our intelligence sources report 2,000 ships massing at their forward staging areas. They'll arrive here within 72 hours. Dr. Sam Peterson, now serving as Earth's chief xenopsychologist, shook his head. "I was afraid of this. Emperor Thaxmiran has never backed down from a challenge. The demonstration we gave his scout fleet probably convinced him that we're too dangerous to be left alone." Admiral Cain Rodriguez studied the tactical projections on the main screen. 2,000 ships. That's 10 times the size of any fleet they've deployed before. They're not taking any chances this time. Captain Roy Barnes, the leader of Earth's Special Operations Forces, leaned forward in his chair. "What are our options, General?" Helen Carter brought up a series of strategic displays. "We have 3 basic choices. Option 1, we destroy the invasion fleet when it arrives and hope that convinces them to leave us alone. Option 2, we take the fight to them and eliminate the threat at its source. Option 3, we show them everything." "Everything?" Roy asked. "Everything. Not just our weapons, not just our technology. We show them why every other species in the galaxy told them to stay away from us. We reveal the full extent of what humanity has become." Dr. Peterson nodded slowly. "It's a risk. Once we show them our true capabilities, there's no going back. The galaxy will know that we're not just another species." "The galaxy already knows," Cain replied. "Every alien government we've contacted has the same reaction when they learn about Earth. They get very quiet and very respectful. They know something we haven't told the Zephyrians yet." Helen Carter activated another display. This one showed a map of local space with Earth at the center. "For the past 50 years, every species we've encountered has given us the same advice. Stay hidden. Don't attract attention. Keep quiet about our capabilities. They weren't trying to protect us from the Zephyrian Empire." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "They were protecting the Empire from us," Roy said quietly. "Exactly. The Altarians, the Centauri, even the free traders who warned us about Imperial expansion. They all know something that the Zephyrians don't. Humanity isn't just another young species with advanced technology. We're something the galaxy has never seen before." Dr. Alex Turner, Earth's leading theoretical physicist, spoke up from his position at the far end of the table. "We've had this conversation before, but now we need to make a decision. Do we continue to hide what we are, or do we step forward and take our place in galactic civilization?" Cain looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leadership. These were people who had spent their lives preparing for this moment. "What exactly are we talking about when we say everything?" Alex Turner activated his personal data pad. "Dimensional manipulation, reality engineering, consciousness transfer, planetary scale construction, time dilation fields, matter-energy conversion at stellar scales, artificial gravity control, biological immortality, telepathic communication networks." He paused and looked up at the council. "We've mastered technologies that most species consider impossible. We've learned to rewrite the basic laws of physics. We've turned science fiction into everyday reality. And if we reveal all of this," Helen asked, "then the galaxy will understand why Earth is off limits, not because we're dangerous, but because we've evolved beyond the normal rules of warfare and diplomacy. We've become something new, Captain Roy Barnes stood up and walked to the main display. I have a fourth option. What if we don't just show them our technology? What if we show them our purpose? What do you mean? Kane asked. The Zephyrian Empire has enslaved dozens of species. They've committed genocide, destroyed entire civilizations, and turned conquest into an art form. What if we show them what happens when they threaten not just Earth, but every free species in the galaxy? Dr. Peterson's eyes widened. You're talking about intervention on a galactic scale. I'm talking about ending the Zephyrian Empire once and for all. Not through conquest, but through liberation. We free every enslaved world, protect every threatened species, and establish a new order based on cooperation instead of domination. General Carter smiled grimly. That would certainly send a message. Kane stood and walked to the tactical display. The invasion fleet will arrive in 68 hours. We need to decide now. Do we treat this as a local threat to Earth, or do we treat it as an opportunity to change the galaxy forever? The vote was unanimous. As the Zephyrian invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, they found something that defied all their expectations. The space around Earth was filled with ships. Not human ships, but vessels from dozens of different species. The Altarians were there, their sleek cruisers gleaming in the starlight. The Centauri had sent their massive carriers. Even species that the Zephyrians had never seen before had gathered around Earth. War Prime Kethveron stared at his tactical display in confusion. Where did they all come from? His answer came from Admiral Kane Rodriguez. War Prime, welcome to the solar system. The ships you see around you represent 47 different species, former victims of Imperial conquest, current refugees from Imperial oppression, and free civilizations that have chosen to stand with Earth against tyranny. Kethveron counted the alien vessels. There were thousands of them, and more were arriving, every minute. This is impossible. How did you assemble this fleet so quickly? Kane's voice carried a note of satisfaction. We didn't assemble it, War Prime. It was already here. It's been here for years, waiting for this moment, waiting for the day when humanity was ready to step forward and change the galaxy forever. Truth hit Kethveron like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just been preparing to defend Earth. They had been preparing to liberate the galaxy. Emperor Thaxmiron sat alone in his private chambers, staring at the communication device that would change the course of galactic history. The message from War Prime Kethveron had arrived 6 hours ago. 2,000 ships, the pride of the Imperial fleet, had been reduced to helpless scrap metal without a single shot being fired. Worse, reports were flooding in from across the empire of simultaneous uprisings on every enslaved world. The humans had kept their promise. In exactly 72 hours, the Zephyrian Empire had lost control of 3/4 of its territory. Soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. Emperor Thaxmiron activated the display and found himself looking at a middle-aged human woman in a simple blue uniform. She had kind eyes but carried herself with the authority of someone accustomed to command. Your Imperial Majesty, I am President Maria Santos of the Terran Federation. I believe we need to talk. Thaxmiron straightened in his chair. After 60 years of ruling through force and intimidation, he was about to negotiate from a position of complete weakness. President Santos, I assume you're calling to dictate surrender terms. Not at all, Your Majesty. I'm calling to offer you something that no one has ever offered a Zephyrian ruler before. I'm offering you a chance to lead your people into a better future. The Emperor had expected threats, demands, or ultimatums. He had not expected an offer of partnership. What are you talking about? Your Majesty, humanity has been studying the Zephyrian Empire for decades. We know your history, your culture, your strengths and weaknesses. We know that your people are capable of great things when they're not focused on conquest and domination. President Santos activated a data display. For the past 72 hours, we've been coordinating the liberation of 43 star systems. Former Imperial slaves are now free citizens. Former Imperial colonies are now independent worlds. But we haven't destroyed a single Zephyrian settlement or harmed a single member of your species. Thaxmiron looked at the tactical display showing transformed imperial space. Every world was marked with a different color: green for liberated slave worlds, blue for independent colonies, yellow for worlds transitioning to self-governance. Only a handful of red dots remained, marking core Zephyrian territories. Why? He asked. Why show mercy to a species that has shown none to others? Because we believe in something your empire never understood, President Santos replied. We believe that every species has the potential for growth and redemption. The Zephyrian people aren't evil, Your Majesty. They've simply been led down the wrong path for too long. Ambassador Bill Wright joined the conversation. He was an older man with the patient bearing of someone who had spent his career solving impossible diplomatic problems. Your Majesty, we're prepared to offer the Zephyrian Empire full membership in the Galactic Federation we're establishing. Your people would maintain control of their core worlds, participate in galactic governance, and have access to technologies that will advance your civilization by centuries. And in return? Thaxamiran asked. In return, you help us build something new. A galactic community based on cooperation instead of conquest. Free trade instead of forced tribute. Diplomatic solutions instead of military occupation. The Emperor stood and walked to his chamber's viewing window. Below him, the imperial capital was in chaos. Reports of liberation were causing celebrations in the alien districts and riots in the Zephyrian neighborhoods. His people were learning that their empire was collapsing, and they didn't know how to process the information. My people will never accept this, he said. For centuries, we've defined ourselves as conquerors. Military strength is the foundation of our culture. Ambassador Wright nodded understandingly. Your Majesty, we're not asking you to abandon your military traditions. We're asking you to redirect them. The galaxy is a dangerous place. There are threats out there that make imperial expansion look like a minor territorial dispute. We need the Zephyrian military to help protect everyone. President Santos activated another display. Your Majesty, this is what we're really fighting against. The screen showed images from deep space. Massive structures of unknown origin drifted between the stars. Ships with designs that belonged to no known species attacked peaceful colonies. Energy signatures that violated the laws of physics appeared and disappeared across the galaxy. There are forces moving in the outer regions that threaten every species in the galaxy, Santos explained. Ancient civilizations that are awakening from millions of years of dormancy. Artificial intelligences that see organic life as a threat to be eliminated. Extragalactic invaders that view our entire galaxy as raw material for their expansion. Ambassador, Wright leaned forward. Your Majesty, humanity has the technology to fight these threats, but we need allies. We need species with military experience, tactical knowledge, and the courage to face the unknown. The Zephyrian Empire has spent centuries developing those exact qualities. Thaxamiran turned back to face the screen. You're offering to transform my empire into a protectorate of the Terran Federation. We're offering to make your empire a founding member of something much larger, President Santos corrected. The Galactic Federation will include every species that chooses to join: humans, Zephyrians, Altarians, Centauri, and dozens of others. We'll all have equal voices in the government we create together. And if I refuse? Admiral Cain Rodriguez appeared on the screen. Your Majesty, if you refuse, the liberation process will continue without Zephyrian participation. Every enslaved world will be freed, every oppressed species will be protected, and the Empire will be reduced to a handful of core worlds with no influence and no future. Rodriguez's tone was respectful, but firm. We prefer cooperation, but we won't allow the oppression to continue. With or without your help, the age of imperial conquest is over. Emperor Thaxamiran looked around his chamber at the symbols of imperial power that had defined his entire life. Golden statues of conquered peoples, maps showing 43 enslaved, star systems, weapons taken from defeated enemies. All of it was now meaningless. What guarantees do I have that this federation will treat my people fairly? He asked. President Santos smiled. Your Majesty, you have the guarantee that you'll help write the Federation Charter. Your voice will be heard in every decision we make. Your people will be protected by the same laws that protect everyone else. Ambassador Wright activated a document display. We've prepared a preliminary agreement, Your Majesty. It establishes the transition process protects Zephyrian citizens and outlines the path to full Federation membership. Thaxamiran read through the terms carefully. The humans were offering everything they had promised: protection for his people, participation in galactic governance, access to advanced technology, and the chance to be part of something greater than conquest and domination. There's one more thing, Your Majesty, Admiral Rodriguez said. We want you to know that this offer comes with the full support of every species we've liberated, the Altarians, the Centauri. Even the peoples your empire has oppressed the most harshly have agreed to work alongside the Zephyrian people in this new federation. They're willing to forgive us. They're willing to give your people a chance to earn that forgiveness, President Santos replied. Redemption isn't something that can be granted instantly. It's something that has to be built through years of cooperation and trust. Emperor Thaxamiran made his decision. With a gesture that would have been unthinkable just days earlier, he knelt before the communication display. President Santos, on behalf of the Zephyrian people, I accept your offer. We will join your federation and help you build this new galactic order. 6 months later, Admiral Cain Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Federation flagship, watching the signing ceremony taking place on the planet below. Representatives from 73 different species had gathered to establish the Galactic Federation officially. Former enemies were working together to create laws, trade agreements, and defense pacts. Emperor Thaxamiran, now bearing the title of Chancellor Thaxamiran, was presenting the new Zephyrian military doctrine to the Federation Council. Instead of conquest and domination, his people's forces would focus on exploration, protection, and peacekeeping. Captain Lisa Morgan joined Cain at the viewing window. It's hard to believe how much has changed in such a short time. Cain nodded. 40 years of preparation, 3 days of demonstration, 6 months of negotiation. Sometimes I think we could have done this sooner. Do you think it will last? Lisa asked. Cain smiled as he watched former slaves and former masters working together on the planet below. Lisa, for the first time in galactic history, every major species is cooperating instead of competing. We have shared technology, shared resources, and shared goals. As long as we remember why we built this federation, it will last forever. Dr. Sam Peterson's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, we're receiving long-range sensor data from the exploration fleets. The unknown threats in the outer regions are definitely moving closer to inhabited space. Cain activated his personal communicator. How long do we have, Sam? Maybe 50 years before first contact, but now we'll be ready for them. 73 species working together with the combined knowledge and technology of the entire galaxy.